Hello, both of you. So I am interviewing today, and I'm thrilled to interview today Satyen and Suzanne Raja. And they are in charge of a wonderful movement known as Warrior Sage. So Warrior Sage was founded by Satyen and Suzanne Raja here with me in 1999 with a mission to activate leaders with powerful missions to bring their dreams into reality. For 2 decades, Satyen and Suzanne utilized their 3 decades of immersion in wisdom, transformational, and enlightenment methodologies to provide hundreds of trainings and workshops internationally, teaching tens of thousands of students the art of the warrior, the art of the sage, and the art of the lover. So based on Satyen's immersion in martial arts and related philosophies, he has synthesized and distilled the most applicable, direct, life-affirming, life-enhancing, accelerating, and evolution-quickening methods for the liberation of one's personal love and freedom. A world where love and freedom is liberated. So beautiful to share that story of you both. And what we're going to be talking about today is exploring a dialogue on how the masculine and feminine co-create. And I'm primarily inspired by how you two have shown up leading by example. And so I wanted to just ask you both, how do you feel like you both embody masculinity and femininity, working together, living together, loving together? Maybe
making babies together, making, making businesses together. Well, we've been together now 34 years. 34 years. We started out as high school friends and became lovers and became really moved by each other's passion for divinity and spirit and God and living a life aligned with the highest ideals and making a big difference in the world. And what I came to realize, I was a loan shark. I was very much involved in martial arts and running a martial arts school and teaching and training and stuff. And I realized that if I wanted a woman, only if I was going to be with a woman, I wanted a woman who could be devoted and dedicated not only to me, but would be inspired by my purpose, my mission, and not just plain old me. And voila, look what the divine brought me, Suzanne here.
Yeah, thank you. So for me, my life has been about love, the search for love, the search for a relationship that would be evolving, that would not just be a stagnant thing, but something that would be alive and that would be full and rich and co-serving. And I searched for that. And it was everything in my world is what I was going for ever since I was a young child. I would look to examples of I would look for examples of relationship and relating that was just rich and full. And I never actually found that in a relationship. I never found everything that I wanted, but I saw bits and pieces. When I met Satyen, it was like, okay, this person has what it takes to be, not only he's the best that he can be in what he's doing and what he's going for, which was exciting for me. I was like, wow, this person is more than just going for himself. He's going for more than just himself. I could attach to that because I was the same. And I could feel that in being in relationship with him, I became more alive and more full, and there was a deeper connection. And so, yes, we met when we were very young, but we also were quite mature in our knowing of what it is that we wanted. And so we were drawn to each other as a result.
Beautiful. I love it. So just to kind of bring everyone up to speed here, how long have you two known each other? And maybe just explain a little bit about your relationship container over the years. If you two, met and then loved and then worked, and how that timeline was, I guess.
Our relationship is like a Bollywood soap opera, actually.
Yes.
It's like the story of, oh, they meet each other, they see each other, will they be together? Ah, something happens, then they come back, then they go back. It's like, it was like a drama actually for the first few years. So we met each other, and we came from two different backgrounds. So Satyen's background is from the East, Indian background, and I'm Jamaican, so Western background. And because it was just so different, our culture was just so different, we love each other deeply, and we had that connection, and that's what kept us together, the devotion to each other, the devotion to beyond just ourselves and who we are in the world. And there were many things that could take us off course, family and mostly family and culture. And yet we decided that we were going to create a relationship that we desired. And so we did everything we could to make sure, including getting coaches and
therapy
and therapy, and not because we had a problem, but because we were designing the relationship that we wanted. And so that's how this all began.
Yeah, so we started that journey 34 years ago, and we had beautiful mentors and guides back then who helped us recognize the differences and how to work with each other. And part of our work is understanding, as you asked at the very beginning, the distinctions between masculine and feminine. And in our body of work, the way we understand it is that masculine and feminine are within everyone. It's not men are masculine and women are feminine. It's a body of energy that we all have to lesser or more degree based on our nature, based on our karma, our dharmic birth. Some of us are more skewed feminine energetically, some of them more masculine. And then to complicate matters, we have shells that we've accumulated, false feminine shells, false ideas of what the masculine is, on top of our true sacred nature of the feminine and masculine. And there's many and many layers of those. And they're very distorted. And so our body of work is all about, let's come back to the truth of our own nature. And for us, the masculine represents the witness consciousness, the awakeness of being, pure being that is beyond form, time, and space, that is, if you will, the overseer of existence.
And the feminine is the one who is feeling all of is in touch with all of the senses, is all of the senses, is alive in the flow and the energy of life. So the feminine is the one who is in touch and knows viscerally what is going on the earth plane, right here and right now, in relationship. And the flow of love is the highest value of one who is more feminine. Whereas for the masculine,
it's the attainment of freedom. Because in our nature, we exist as freedom itself. When we're in a human incarnation, we forget that. And so the heroic journey is about discovering, going from the place of contraction and feeling jailed, feeling limited, all the way to absolute freedom. And the feminine journey is coming from the lack of love to understanding that we are love at its core. And so by having these understandings, rather than being at war with each other sexually, being at war with each other in consciousness, antagonizing each other, myself, before I understood this, I thought that the way to growth and consciousness and a better life was the masculine approach, which is, attainment, goals, set the next goal, keep going, higher achievement. And most men and women, unfortunately, are very stuck in that rigidity of masculine attainment, because that's what our culture has valued as the most essential and valuable part of the world. And as we know in this day and age, today's Earth Day, we know now that the feminine existence, Mother Earth, us, Gaia, food, nature, love, life, water, air, breath, life force, that this is really also, that whole spectrum is of value.
Yeah, I mean, it's the effulgence of life. It's why we're excited about waking up in the morning. It's like why we're excited about the next moment. That it's the feminine that attracts us to that, and so to the extent that we are radiant we know what the feminine's gifts are, and that we can be full in that and radiant in that, is the extent that life is exciting, it's fun, it's delicious.
Both of your energies like so just hype up this entire discussion, I find. It's really, really like I yearn for this kind of discussion with people, because I find there's a very common conundrum with both masculine and feminine energies in my clients. And that is, like, here's a very common scenario. I noticed that a lot of my male clients sometimes struggle to own their masculine energy because they're worried of women being frightened away by it. And my female clients feel as though if they embrace their full feminine essence, they will not be as productive or efficient, which has helped guide their own success, fair enough. So how do you two feel about these two distinct and common scenarios these days?
Well, it's understandable. It's completely understandable with the way that the world is. So for instance, someone who would be more feminine when they're going off to work and business and all of that. It's a very masculine. It's a very masculine run space. It's the value of being directive, of having a purpose, of knowing where you're going and getting to that goal is highly valued. And so to be able to move with the flow of the juiciness of life and be able to savor that and be undulating in that in every single pore of your body, and being in touch with relationship and relating in that, it has not been as valued. But to the extent that you do recognize the value of that, what happens is the practice that is possible will actually create even an even more effective way of being when you are at work, when you are trying to get things done. If you're fully knowing what the value is and going for that in your practice, it's magical what's possible, and it's actually what's worked for me.
We use a very simple 3-stage model for simplicity's sake. First stage, masculine, feminine, is the old school, the rigid masculine, which we should be fearful of, because the rigid, closed-hearted, what we call perhaps toxic masculinity, patriarchy, is harmful because it's not integrated with the feminine and doesn't value the inner or the outer feminine, and only values its masculine ideals. So that's the old school. Its reciprocal is the first stage feminine, which is all about
dependent, and yet please save me, help me, I need your support, I can't do anything without you. And so the dependency side of the first stage feminine is what in the past has been what has happened, and what most of us have grown from, and afraid to go back to that old way. And so that's where the fear comes in. So
the world reacted to this, and in the 60s we started the whole movement of women's movement, and men's movement came about 10-15 years later. So what happened was men, they started discarding this old rigid masculine role, those who were interested in growth work and such, and they entered the realms of learning to grow their hair, wear more colorful clothing, get in touch with their feminine emotions, go out, drum, not just work as hard as their parents did or fathers did, and learn to enjoy life. And the epitome of that, or if you will, the stereotype of that, is what we call the new age gentleman, or the man who's just, he's in his flow but can never commit to anything. He doesn't have the fucking balls to, stand up and destroy evil, nor does he have the courage to be able to be absolutely vulnerable in the face of fear, as well as absolutely resolute in whatever's there. And unfortunately, that's the result of a reaction to the first stage. But there's more. We'll talk about that in a moment.
Right. And so the first stage feminine has grown from being dependent and needing to be seen, needing to be helped, to actually she can take care of herself. She can do anything that her masculine counterpart can do, and she's recognized that. And so she's gone out and she's made a name for herself. She's created a business for herself. She's now potentially a boss who gives the orders now, and there is no way that she is ever interested in being told what to do or being shown that, or being led around. She does not want to be led. She wants to lead. And so she should be able to do that. But she has let go of knowing and practicing the value of what is possible. And we'll speak about that in the third stage.
Because the first stage, in the second stage feminine, what happens is we see the old role models of a weak woman. We don't want that. We see the old role models of a weak man in a way. We don't want that. And so we go from codependency to independent, which is a healthier phase. But if you're on the growth journey enough, it's not good enough. The soul is yearning for even more. The soul within us yearns for total union with the ecstatic fullness of what can happen in the rapture of love and sexuality and ecstasy and raising children and having lives. And so this is what we're about. We're about initiating, activating the third stage in couples and in singles, which is really all about, a third stage masculine being is the one who recognizes that the masculine is a form of strength, that freedom is strength, but with an open heart, with a care for humanity, with a care for the world, with a care for a purpose and a mission that's higher than just personal needs, and is willing to surrender to the Great Spirit and allow themselves to be led by Spirit for the purpose of the greater good, as well as taking care of their families and their lives, and being really a force of positive impact, no matter how small or big. That's irrelevant. But that you're there is the most important thing in full presence.
Mm-hmm. And the third stage, feminine, recognizes that the flow of life that is sourced in her body first and foremost, is power. So to be able to be flexible and moving and alive and awakened and fully expressed, absolutely in all areas of her life, and be able to be the most inviting due to her radiance that's unleashed from her bodily expression of the flow, the awakening, the aliveness of who she is. She becomes a gift. And she becomes unstoppable, where she may have thought before, oh, well, I'm letting go of the clench, the letting go from her strength, the relaxing from her strength, realizing that in that relaxing, what happens is the surge of power of who the feminine really is arises and is allowed to express itself in ways that is beyond what she could even imagine. And it's a gift in relationship. It's an absolute blessing when they're both alive in the third stage.
Yes, it's so true. I feel like the masculine gets hungry, but the feminine yearns whenever there's the next level to take.
Well put.
Yeah, I just sort of got that download as you were talking. And, I think the third stage is really the biggest journey for each soul to get to that stage of not fierce independency and not codependency, but interdependency, and to integrate. And it's actually very psychedelic when you think about it, which we can talk a little bit more about later. But I'm wondering, what tools then could the masculine and feminine take up to better understand each other and work with each other better?
Mm-hmm.
In our work to simplify, we've discovered a triangle for the masculine, very simple tool of visualization. Imagine a triangle, and on the pinnacle of that is presence. So that's one of the tools that the masculine can cultivate within themselves. Presence meaning I'm here, I'm fully here. I'm not drifting, I'm not all over the place, I'm not scatterbrained. My consciousness is here with you. Full presence is very sexy to the feminine, and full unperturbed, undisturbable presence is very trustable in business relationships, from men to men relationships. That's presence. It's reciprocal in the feminine is
invitation. Invitation. So invitation is the disposition of, come on home. You know, it's just here, let me pull back the veils and show you this. Will you come this way? You know, it's just that, it's that everything. It's just the aliveness of, it's exciting. It's a party. It's an event to be here. And so it's that's the attraction factor.
And you see, just when she turns on that invitation, I can't help for my hunger to be satiated or to get even more hungry, right? And that's the artistry in this as a couple, is to cultivate the arc of these energies in its most potent way. So we're pulling each other rather than repelling each other or neutralizing each other. So the masculine, if you imagine the upward triangle, like a phallus, a mountain going to the earth, whereas the yoni from the heavens to the earth is the feminine, the downward triangle. So presence is at the top here. Its reciprocal is invitation. They call out each other. When I'm present, she wants to be more inviting. When she's more inviting, I want to be more present. If she's not inviting, it doesn't evoke my presence, but that doesn't mean I don't, you know, in the first stage, I'm like, you give me your radiance, your beauty, then I'll give you my presence. That's first stage thinking. That's egoic thinking. In the third stage, it doesn't matter whether she's closed or open. I give my gift anyways, especially when she's closed. Vice versa.
Vice versa. You know, and when you learn these tools, what will happen is it will naturally arise in you because you're overflowing in it. It is what is part of you. So it's like, of course, this is what's needed in the moment. Here it is. Or just being that way. You're just naturally being that way, and you're an absolute gift to each other.
So that's presence. The next aspect of the masculine triangle is claim. What do I stand for? What do I value? What is non-negotiable? What will I no longer tolerate? What will I tolerate? What do I claim as mine? Mine to do? What do I claim is not mine to do? By cultivating that claim of life, what I'm here to do, what I'm not here to do, it creates a resonant anchor in being. It strengthens the spine of presence. It makes one stronger in reality. So claim is a very essential piece of the masculine power. That's the part you talked about, that wishy-washiness in the second stage. The first stage man has claim, but it's harmful. You're mine, but it's in an aggressive ownership way. Whereas in the third stage, claim represents a sexy, loving nature. Honey, you're with me. You're my woman. I got you. I got your back. I stand by you. I protect you. I provide. I'll do whatever it takes, but we're together solid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's
reciprocal.
Dang.
Dang. Both you guys, I'm just having a girl crush on Suzanne because I'm just like, wow, like the way she was dancing just there. It's like, damn.
Well, yeah. I mean, you know, it's the reciprocal to that is surrender. Surrender. Now that word surrender is a dirty word, and a lot
for some people.
You're nodding because you get it, right? So strong women, typically, the word surrender seems like I surrender. I don't have the power. But actually, surrender means relaxing any tension you have around just trusting life, trusting fully, trusting that you will be taken care of, trusting your partner's capacity to stand and to rise and to be all that they can be in your intimacies. This isn't everywhere. This isn't when you're at work necessarily, but this is when you are in your intimacy with your partner. This is relaxing any tension you would have, any shells of protection that you may have put around yourself, not feeling like, oh, I'm going to be held, not feeling like, oh, I'm going to be supported, but having the power to say, I have the power to relax and enjoy this moment fully, not knowing what's going to happen, not anticipating what's going to happen, just be able to let go and enjoy the dance of the moment between each other. And that's just such a pleasure for both of you.
Practically how it works, and a practical example is when Suzanne is in a place where she's in the heart of her surrender, it evokes my claim of her and my claim of my mission, in fact, not just her. It evokes the claim of my fullness. But if she's not in a surrendered place.
And what does surrender look like? What is surrender actually? The word surrender is like, if I'm relaxed, if I've done yoga, for instance, my body is in such a way that it's receptive. It's not trying to guess ahead. What are you doing? Asking him questions about, okay, what's happening here? What's happening there? It's a turnoff because it's me trying to control the moment in my intimacy. But if I'm more relaxed and I'm willing and waiting for, his next moment, he decides, okay, I'm now going to take us here, then I have the capacity to just go, all right, let's go. I wonder what's going to happen. It's just more delicious that way.
It's really sexy when Suzanne allows me to guide her or direct her, but from love, as an example, And so that's presence, claim, and then invitation, surrender. They're the reciprocals. And then the last part of the triangle, presence, claim, is penetration. And penetration, obviously there's the physical, sexual penetration, but there's penetration of the heart, penetration of being. And in a sacred way, it's the penetration that's already there. It's feeling that I already am in full union with my blood. I'm not trying to get in her. I'm not trying to get into her pants. I'm not trying to get something out of her. I'm here already infused, this penetrative love force as penetrative freedom force in this relationship. When that happens, the reciprocal energy awakens.
The reciprocal energy that awakens is the expression. It's full expression with my eyes, with my heart, sending my heart across of, this love that's just burst through to my partner, just wetting him with my love and my body as well. So fully expressing my body. And one of the things that I've noticed in working with powerful women, especially, is because we've been so trained to be on guard and tight that the level of expression, the level of effulgence from our throat, from our voices are so muted. And so the capacity to be able to express and say, that was so good. That felt amazing, is then your partner is just naturally going to want to penetrate you further, enter not just your body, although that's fabulous, and show them that. It's your body, your heart, your soul, your life. And, that's where the dance is just exceptional.
Gotta love that dance. Love tango.
How did you know?
Sorry?
Tango.
Tango's the best. It takes two to tango.
Tango is amazing.
That's a perfect demonstration. Tango, presence, claim, penetration, invitation, surrender, expression are all embodied in that beautiful dance of which Suzanne is, an amazing exponent of,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. I absolutely adore what you said about surrender, because As I was telling you both earlier, a lot of my clients come to me to start psychedelic brands, and I think a lot of them will like this question. I'm very curious to know your answer to this, because I remember seeing a post very recently, actually, from you, Satyen, about how you spoke to a divine maternal presence of pure love energy from an ayahuasca journey. And surrender was ultimately the biggest lesson I ever learned in personal ayahuasca journeys. So I'm very curious, what role does psychedelic healing play in healing for the wounded masculine and the wounded feminine?
Very good.
It's a great question. We started our work in psychedelics before it became famous, and now is in a renaissance, which we're very happy to see. We started this work over 35 years ago with our mentors, and have been taking people into the jungles of Peru and the Amazon for decades now, and all around the world, different ceremonies and such. And one of the things we've recognized is that plant medicines, teacher plants, the way I look at them from the warrior traditions, these are teachers. These are not just biochemicals that alter consciousness. We refer to them and revere them as actual embodiments, teachers that have something profound to share with us and have a profound benevolence when we meet them, when we open up and we meet them with full awareness and positive intention, the intention to grow as an individual. So I believe that psychedelics are not for everyone. They're for those who feel a calling to go to realms of being beyond that they've ever done. It's especially good for leaders who've been there and done that, and for leaders who have been there, done that, and think that they know a lot, and they intuit they can use a humbling. Because Mother Ayahuasca will humble you and bring you back into a place of deeper humility with the nature of who you are, where your strengths are, and also will reveal where your weaknesses are, where your shadows are, the places that are not addressed, the places that are unhealed. And I believe that the masculine within us, men of today, when we look at the hundreds, if not thousands of years of distortion of masculine energy, it's a accelerated way to get in touch with the truth of our masculine, as well as embrace the cosmic feminine, which allows us to embrace the human feminine, our mothers, our daughters, and our sisters.
It's beautiful. And, the feminine in all of us grows through transmission with other feminine energies. And particularly ayahuasca, I have found to be a feminine energy. And it for myself, helped me to relax the clenches that I thought were relaxed in me. So you may think you're relaxed until you meet a teacher plant that helps you to see that there's more to do. And it, like Satyen says, it kind of knocks you off of your pedestal in a sense. And we all need to not put ourselves on a pedestal, but realize that there is always more work to do, that there is always more personal growth that is possible. Because when you get to a point where you think that I've got it all together and I know it all, suddenly you get knocked off of your, you just get knocked off. You don't want that. You want to be on top of your game. And so, on the other side of this, the beauty of these teacher plants are the capacity to see and experience what you don't even know is possible in yourself. And the depth of connection that is possible with those that you may share this with as well, particularly with your partner, the depth of connection that you may have thought you've touched is just a tip of the iceberg to where you could possibly go, and that we personally have experienced ourselves.
Yeah, what I'm really getting a sense of too in just your answers are, both the masculine and feminine at their best are both very present. And it's almost as if, the feminine's way of showing up with presence is by radiating. So tuning in and tapping into that radiant quality, which is a whole paradigm shift, a whole perspective shift when you're tuning out of the go-getter, work hard, a lot of masculine energy running in a female, and kind of, gently gliding into just being love, as you two were talking about earlier. And I wanted to ask, how has both of your relationships with presence evolved?
Relationship with presence.
Clarify that for us.
Yeah.
Sure. I guess how over the years, I mean decades, when I think of people in their 20s, presence is something where, people in their 20s think they're invincible, right? And as we age, as we grow up, we know that we're not invincible. And so I guess what I'm curious about is, I guess, the time differences, the generational differences, as you've, been together, and how you relate with presence in your lives. If that makes sense.
Yeah. So when we started together in our 20s, we were really run by passion. 20s and 30s, we were run by passion. In our mid-30s and 40s, we were run by purpose. And now we're run by God.
Oh, I felt that.
That encompasses passion and purpose. So it encompasses all of it, is where we're at right now, bringing all of that together.
And regarding presence, ultimately, we won't have physical presence. This whole story of even us, how much love we have, the exuberance we have, that'll come to a pass. And the sobriety of death is what enlivens love. The sobriety of death is what makes this moment and love and connection and sweetness and the simplicity of just being gentle with each other and holding each other's hearts more valuable than all the riches and attainments that can possibly had in the material world. And that's how it's evolved for us.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah, the material starts being a lot less interesting than the experiential. Experiences start to become much more interesting to collect or to gather or to just be fully immersed in, as two people grow. So beautiful. So I want to ask like a more, I guess, kind of tangible question, because when I think about the masculine and feminine at work, in the workplace, or just co-creating in a ceremony, for example, when is a good time to hold space for emotion and be present to the changing feelings? And when is it important for walls to be up, for more of a directive energy of things?
Well, when one isn't working, try the other.
Exactly. It's artistry, it's artistry. What do we need here? Okay, we need a little bit of this here, that over here. What could bring it out even more? What do we need more energy in the space? So is energy needed? Well, that is where the feminine comes into place. Energy the feminine is all about energy in all different kinds of ways, in smells, touch, taste, sound, music, all of that. Is music needed in ceremony, say? Because in ceremony, often we have experienced this, it be very quiet. And there's a depth to the quiet, and the depth of the quiet is the masculine in all of us. So the silence and just being aware of your consciousness. Where are you in the moment? Where is your mind? Is there even a mind? Is there even you? Who are you? And all of those deep questions is a moment of masculine presence. And maybe in that, suddenly, just to save your life, the music starts. And it's like, oh, okay, where was I? Now I feel the divine. But the divine is felt in both the masculine and the feminine. You know, it's what is needed in the moment, energy or depth.
Yes.
Mm.
Boundarylessness, boundaryless. Exuberance, energy, life force when you're on a dance floor in ecstatic bliss, celebration. And then there's times to have boundaries, containers, right? We can't, this is the container, the masculine. The water is the feminine. The water would be all over the floor if it wasn't the container here. The straw that you're drinking from is the masculine that's drawing the feminine within you, right? So you need both. You cannot have one without the other. They're complementary energetics. Now, here's the challenge. If we're in a monastery and it's just energy, 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 you won't have the feeling or the cultivation of depth. If you're just, if you're in a dance club and it's, let me put it this way, the best speakers in the world, the ones who really move us, are ones who have this sing-song between energy and depth, silence, stillness, exuberance. But if everyone's always exuberant, it's too much. If they're just still and quiet and in depth, they're boring. So they're lifeless. So it's about enjoying the sing-song, playing the sing-song, feeling for it, and not being rigid in any one of those roles. And ultimately, it's about becoming an artist. If you look at a piano keyboard, it's wide. There's lighter notes, deeper notes. The more notes we can cultivate, the more music we can play.
Ooh, I love that. That's a good soundbite. That's a good quote right there. Wow, absolutely phenomenal. I just feel like my brain is so activated and my heart is so open with this conversation. I wanted to give you both a chance to share any events or offerings coming up or currently available for people listening. So are there any that you two can bring our attention to?
Oh, well, thank you for asking. Well, we have different offerings and events. Mostly we work with leaders in the world. And you can find out more about that work by going to warriorsage.com. And that's where there's all types of resources, videos, teachings. We have, when you become part of our community there by signing up on the email list, we've got I think 12 or 15 audio tape programs, vintage trainings that are all for free, that go from money to sexuality to tantra to sacred medicine work. And so you can dive into all our life experiences, and that's all for free. And when you're on the list, once in a while, right now, most of our work is private by invitation only or by application. But if there's any business leaders or leaders who are there to make a big impact in the world, they wish to live these principles and wish to have personal tutelage in it, we don't pull punches, we're very direct. We work with those who are not just debutantes or those who are just splashing the surface of growth. We're only interested in serving those that are here to be the fullest expression of freedom and love, to make the biggest impact and biggest reach on the planet. If that's you and that resonates, reach out to us and we'll be happy to chat with you and let you know what's coming up.
Yeah, what a deep calling. I definitely feel as though, I have an intuitive sense for people who are here to really, who are not just here for a phase and know that life is not a dress rehearsal. So I absolutely love that you intensify that calling. Is there anything else that was on our minds or in our bodies you wanted to share before wrapping up?
I feel that, do you have something that's coming up for you?
It'll arise as you speak, I'm sure.
We're in this pandemic time in the world. There's a lot of pressures even beyond our own selves. Even if our lives are happy ourselves, there's a lot of pressures on the earth plane right now. I truly believe now that the intensity of this time, the pressure cooker, the fact that Mother Nature or whatever the circumstances are, has given us a time out to go inside of our rooms, is an opportunity for deep contemplation and really recognizing how much of my life have I been living outside of the alignment of what my truth is. And this is a sacred, potent time to come back and say, how can I live my life in alignment with who I am? And make that the most valuable and precious thing in life. And make that the only thing in life worthy of going for. And I promise you, if we utilize this potent time of world pressure, then the gift that will bloom from this pressure will be something profound, a gem for the world to see and experience. And that gem is us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I would say in alignment with that, so what is it that you're here for? Really take this time, really go inside and be willing once and for all to show up, to radiate, to stand firm and be the light, be the depth that you need to be once and for all, because we do not know what tomorrow is going to bring, but we do have now. And as you asked before about presence, we have presence right now. This is the present moment. And are we giving and being all that we can be? Here is that invitation. I urge you to take it and move with it and give all that you can now, right now.
Right now. Oh, I love it. Wow, you two just really are living works of art, living masterpieces, I feel. And we're always works in progress too, which is another beautiful understanding. I have to say, you two, in my view at least, have truly surpassed many barriers in misunderstanding the masculine and feminine, and this is deeply inspiring, actually. I feel many people probably listening are probably stunned that a union like this could even exist, because I know that a dynamic like this has really only been in my dreams for so long. There were not enough potent models like this to really counteract the problems that the masculine and feminine often bump into with each other. But alas, I hear dreams realized, and both of you sharing and opening up about the call from the universe that you both have heard and really responded to. So thank you to everyone tuning in, and you both. Satyen and Suzanne are truly seasoned guides in the healing arts, and they live and lead with their hearts open. So I sincerely encourage everyone to check out Warrior Sage. The links will be in the description. And a reminder here to also share this video with someone who could really benefit from hearing this, your community, your audience, and please feel free to leave feedback.
Mia, thank you so much for your openness and your receptivity and your joyful inquiry. It's been very beautiful to be with you today.
The pleasure is all mine. Thank you both so much. Love you both.
Right back at you.